Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 in our series on arm care with Texas Tech baseball athletic trainer Bryan Simpson. In video 1, Bryan walked us through some of the mobility exercises that he uses with a lot of his athletes. Instead of having a video that's 45 minutes long, I thought it would be better to break it into some more manageable chunks. Today we're going to take a look at some functional exercises that Bryan uses with very little equipment. This is stuff that you could do on the field, out on the court. Stay tuned. Hope you enjoy.
I'm going to put this wedge, this is another pec stretch. I'm going to put this wedge between your shoulder blades, so lift up for me, keep going, there you go. So get that right between the shoulder blades. We're kind of getting the humeral heads elevated a little bit. Start right here for me, so elbows bent, and I can just kind of push down here to whatever force they need to feel a good stretch in the front. We can also change the angle. We'll have them here or all the way over their head. And you can even have them do like if you call it, what I call it is a bank robber. They're just going up and down here. They should be feeling their scaps move around the rib cage. And as they're doing that, I just push posteriorly. You should feel a pretty good stretch on that. Feel that? Okay, so those are the stretches they kind of do by themselves pretty much every day. Again, this would be before practice. They come in, get stretched out, and then they would go out, do their bands, and then go play catch. So this is kind of our stretching routine that myself or our students will do. So first thing we'll do is go external rotation, come this way just to here. So what I typically do is I'll elevate my foot so I can support their elbow here, and then I will press down on the humeral head just to stabilize the humerus, and then we'll go into external rotation. Ooh. Yeah, a little creepy. Yeah, a little bit. So anyway, external rotation will go as far as what's comfortable for them. You'll see in a lot of pitchers they have a lot of external rotation. Their internal rotation won't be as good because their posterior capsule's tight, but their external rotation is usually really good. So that's one thing we try to balance out throughout a year. The next thing will be internal rotation. And what I like to do in internal rotation is get 3 different angles. So we're not just at 90-90. We're going to kind of go a little above 90 and a little below 90 to stretch an internal rotation. So again, knees on my arms on my knee, stabilize the humeral head, internally rotate. And then I'll hold that for 5-10 seconds, then I'll move them down to 90-90. Same thing. And then we'll get one more stretch just a little bit below 90. Next one would be what we call a bursa massage. So what we're going to do is they're going to be at 90-90. I'm going to actually pull traction here at the elbow. So kind of hook my arm around theirs, pull a little traction, and we'll just do some oscillations into internal and external rotation. Feel good? For some reason they really like this one. Next thing I'll do is grab their arm, usually stand up on this one, support the humeral head anterior and posteriorly. We'll do circles forward and backwards. Do about 5 each direction. The next one we'll just do like a flexion stretch. This time I'm going to hold down the scapula. I'm going to stabilize the scapula. So I'll hold that down there. Going into flexion. if they get all the way to the top and they don't feel a good stretch, you can kind of actually push in towards their head a little bit, and they'll feel a little bit better stretch. Then I just kind of grab their arm, pull a little traction, kind of shake it out a little bit. Once I get there, pretty much done with the shoulder. Now we're going to move down to the forearm. So we're going to stretch the forearm. Pretty good extension. So I'm pulling him into extension. Again, we can even oscillate this. You don't have to do a static stretch. It can be a little more functional by adding a little bit of movement. So that usually feels really good, especially for those guys who have elbow problems. The next thing, we're just going to pronate and supinate. So pull him into full supination. And again, kind of oscillating this, not just a static stretch. And then we'll turn him over into pronation. Okay, so that's our assisted stretches. And then once we do that, we'll go do some band work, some stretches with the band. I've got that over here. I can just throw them in a bag when we go on the road, because we're on the road a lot, maybe gone for 12 days at a time. We can find a spot in the hotel room to anchor this, put it in the doorway. A lot of places have gyms we can use. We also utilize swimming pools quite a bit, so we'll go over either the football, use the water weights, kind of like old people water aerobic weights. We can do that at hotels too, a lot of places. In fact, in the last year or so, I've actually made a request that, hey, if we can find a spot at the hotel, it really helps us with rehab. One, it changes it up a little bit. Two, we've really seen a lot of success with recovery. They really like it. And even if we don't use the water weights, they can just go through motions without them, and the water's enough resistance to kind of get a good workout in. So the first one here with the band is we're going to go external rotation. And again, we like to make things functional, so we get them into external rotation here, and then we're just going to kind of lunge forward. Feel a pretty good stretch there. Okay, so that's external rotation. Next one we're going to do is internal rotation. So I try to hook this with my thumb here. This may be a little high. So I may have to hold it like this. But we'll get them into internal rotation here. Again, you can see behind my back how this is pulling me into internal rotation. But again, I can use just a slight lunge to kind of get a good little stretch on the shoulder. And if you do this right, if they do it right, we're actually kind of working on the hips too. I don't tell them that because no guy likes to work on hip mobility, but we kind of work on stretching the hip flexor whenever we do this as well, if we keep our heel on the ground and do it right. So there's internal rotation. Then I usually have them put it around their shoulder here. We're trying to get a kind of a posterior glide on the humeral head here. So we'll use the band to do that. And then again, I'll internally rotate. And if it's placed in the right spot, you can actually kind of feel the humeral head moving posteriorly. This is for all those guys that just love to bench press. They can't do without it. So we gotta find a way to counteract what they're doing to tighten the muscle. So that's the posterior glide of the humeral head. Now we're going to go cross arm AD abduction. And again, hold here, but I'm going to do a side lunge. Okay, feel a good stretch on the back side of the shoulder whenever I do this. Again, a little more functional to do this rather than just stand here and not move. So side lunge on this. Next one. Whenever we go abduction, cross arm abduction, horizontal abduction. If it's a right-handed pitcher, I like for them to simulate having their foot on the rubber, having their foot facing towards home plate, not open toe, closed toe. That puts them in a better position for their arm. And then now we're going to do like an actual T-spine rotation here. So start here and rotate out. So when I do this, I feel a pretty good stretch on the front side of the shoulder. Again, addressing those guys that have bicep tendonitis, tightness in pec minor, stuff like that. So I'm actually rotating at the T-spine here. Feel a pretty good stretch. Okay, so that's all the banded mobility as well. There may be some other things we add in there just based on each person. But that's typically what we have. Organize these in a way that they'll remember them, in a way that we can do things consistent at home and on the road. So like to use the exercise ball if possible. If not, we'll use the table. If we're at the hotel, we might use a bed. Not my bed, my student's bed, always. So we'll go YTIs. So here again, we're wanting to stabilize the scap. It's not a large motion. We're just going from here to here. This is our Ys. We do 2 sets of 15 on all these. So we get done with the Ys. On the second set, on the last rep, we're going to do a 10-second isometric hold. Okay, which, believe it or not, even though it's 2 pounds, it's actually pretty difficult to do. So Ys, T. Got to get a good squeeze at the top. Our T's, and then here's our I's. Again, 2 sets of 15 on all these. And then the next one will be prone external rotation. So we're going to do a row, get the scaps good and tight, externally rotate. And then we're going to go back down the same way we came up. So we're going to go from here, back down into a rotation, and back to the starting position. One thing you got to watch out with these guys, you got to make sure they do it right. Because sometimes they'll do it right to here, and then they'll just go back down like this. That's not what we want to do. We want to control everything eccentrically as well. So we're going to row, external rotate, go back to internal rotation, back to our starting position. Good thing about the ball is you kind of get a little core stabilization as well. We're not just, again, we try to trick them sometimes and make them do things they don't know they're doing. It's always good for any athlete to have good, strong core. So that's our YTIs. Next thing we do is internal external rotation. You can do that several ways. Lay on the table, do it sideline, do it standing. A lot of times we just use a band. Internal rotation, external rotation. You can even do it at 99. You can do it here as well. Next thing, call this a hammer. So with the hammer, work on forearm strengthening. I usually have them stabilize their forearm on the table, and I'll just go into a deviation here. Again, just like the YTIs, they're good 2 sets of 15. Pronation, supination. And then I'll have them turn around and do another curl here. And the last thing we'll do is just some wrist curls and forearm strengthening again. They can use 1 dumbbell, 2 dumbbells. We got some heavier dumbbells they can use if they really want to. Again, stabilized on the table. That way we're just using our wrist and we're going into again 2 sets of 15 on this, and then we'll turn it over, come into extension. that's day one. So the first thing on the day after they throw will be the TRX strap. We're going to do our three-dimensional movements with these. So the first thing we're going to do is scat pull. I'm going to start full internal rotation, so my thumb is down. I'm going to pull with my scat, pull up. And if this is too hard, we can have them stand like this and pull. Okay? If it's too easy, the closer your feet are to the strap, the harder it's going to be. If that's too easy, we can put their feet up on a stool or something and have them do it that way. Typically, this is going to be enough. So again, on these, we're going to start an internal rotation, pull with the scat, and then we're going to do 2 sets of 5 on all these. So pull with the scat, and then we're going to rotate. Calm down. 5 of these, and then keep rotating around. Thumb up. Lastly, palm up or into a full external rotation of the shoulder. So we're pulling up here. So just by changing my hand position, I'm changing the position of the humeral head. We're strengthening in a different way. Because when we think about, especially a thrower, at some point they're going to be an internal, external rotation. We're just trying to strengthen everything, rather than just from the neutral position. A lot of people just strengthen the neutral position. I feel like it's more beneficial if we strengthen internal, external, and neutral position. Rotate as far as we can. Rotate as far as we can. This is really cool. We'll do 5 of those, and then we'll rotate. 5 more. And then full internal rotation. Okay, so that is our scat push-ups. Again, 3 positions on that. And then we'll go back to the sagittal plane, pike out, push forward. 5 of these. Again, internally rotate. 5, internally rotate. 5. Frontal plane, same thing, side to side. This one's kind of the one you have to watch because they like to twist. And, it's hard to keep them to stay or keep them in the same plane of motion. But we want to keep them in that frontal plane on this side to side. Again, not a huge motion. And we're going to gradually internally rotate. 2 sets of 5 on all these. And then the last one will be transverse. We're rotating up. Internally rotate. Same thing. Full internal rotation. And my arm's on fire right now. So instead of pushing and throwing the ball, he's going to catch the ball and slow it down. We try to have them put their hand about where their arm slot is. If they're side armored, we try to throw it out to the side. If they throw over the top, we try to make them catch it about where they release the ball from. So Ronnie's here, I'm standing behind him. I'm just gonna throw that ball over his hand. He's gonna go down into his follow through, and then he's going to return the throw right back the way that he came down. A little far, huh? Couple more. Good. So those are eccentric tosses. Start here. We're just going to have them go through the ready motion and flexion. Kind of lean through it, get a good stretch. I like to tell them to focus on keeping their shoulder blades flat against their rib cage. Because if a guy has his leaning or something, then squeeze the scabs together. That way they can move around the rib cage like they're supposed to. There's the reverse bitty croppers. Facing the wall for about 30 seconds. They're just dribbling the wall, or the wall on the wall. One thing I have to focus on is like actually dribbling it like a basketball, where they're using their wrist rather than just using their arm. So there's a lot of guys that just kind of do this. We want it to be a quick, fluid motion. We're using our wrist because this is a forearm exercise. So flick the wrist. So the first one they're facing forward. The second one, they're going to be to the side. And then the third one, they're going to go like a mark to the side. So on that one, a lot of them complain because their shoulder hurts too. So it's actually a very good exercise for both the shoulder and the forearm. We don't just do it at 90-90. We kind of do it a little bit above and a little below. So I'll be here. What I like to tell them to do is kind of roll over towards their shoulder, put their chin on their shoulder so that they know if the back of their shoulders are rocking off the ground. That kind of stabilizes that. And then with their opposite hand, they're going to push it into rotation. So here, then I'll move down to 90. Here, and then here. You just feel that in a little different spot on the posterior capsule. A lot of times you'll see guys go like this, and they'll be like, all right, this is pretty easy. It doesn't hurt. Well, the shoulder's not on the ground. They've truly got their shoulder on the ground, and they're doing the stretch right. They should not be able to go all the way to the ground. Again, my internal rotation is terrible. But, there's sleeper stretch. Start with it out in front. About 30 seconds up and down. Then we can turn it to the side. Same thing, side to side. Then we can move into scaption. Here, here. And then out to the side. Up and down, side to side. And then the last one I like to have them do is kind of get into their throwing motion. Again, to pitcher, you can tell them their foot's on the rubber and their front foot's pointing towards home. I like to tell them to push out with this. This will get shoulder and forearm if you do it correctly. So we're pushing up and out, and we're going to have them go through their throwing motion. Get to the bottom, still pushing out, going back the opposite way. If you have them do this for 30 seconds, they should only be able to get through that motion probably twice, if that. So it's not like we're having them go through that 10, 15 times. If they're doing it slowly, 2 or 3 times would be sufficient. Keep these shoulder blades tight, and we're just moving up into full flexion. This is a good exercise to make them be conscious of their shoulder blades because they've got the wall behind them, so they should be able to feel if they're trying to wing out. Got to keep chest out and shoulder blades really tight throughout the motion. Okay, the 3-dimensional movements. It's a little more functional. We're using the whole body, we're using the legs. Good exercise for pitchers. So we're going to have them, we can start in a squat. We're going to have them here in about a half squat. And we're going to go into full flexion. Okay? We may only do like 5 of these. And then we're going to reverse it. We're going to go down. Okay, so that's in flexion. Then we're going to do it in the transverse plane or into horizontal abduction. So we'll start here, twist. And then we'll reverse it, going into horizontal adduction. Again, you want to stay in the same plane, one plane of motion. And then we'll kind of add a couple together. We'll start here and go through our throwing motion. So start up and across the body. And reverse that. Okay, so that's three-dimensional deceleration. This is more plyometric exercise, so if you can throw it up and make it land right, you can go right back into it. So it's kind of hard for some of these guys. And then we're going to reverse that.